paradox. Now, to circle back around, what's wrong with the dragons? I've talked about this a couple of times. I don't think that the dragons should be in the siege mode at all. Because for MMORPG players, purists, is that the alpha? This is the developer's footage of the alpha, yes. This is different developer footage of the alpha. And welcome, first-time caller. The dragons for MMORPG purists, they're not going to like it. And let's Bob Ross it up again for a second here. When I say an MMORPG purist, what I'm talking about is, here's the total of all the people who play MMORPGs, right? And well, work with me here, because I'm talking about a cross set. Oh yeah, we'll do all the people who play MMORPGs, and over here is the cross section of MOBA players, right? So this is MOBAs, this is MMORPGs, right? And for this example, we're saying all of this is the purists, right? These guys only play MMORPGs, and this section right here is the overlap of people who play MMORPGs and MOBAs. I think the current siege testing with the dragons in it is going to appeal more to the people who also play MOBAs than it is to people who are purists and only play MMORPGs. I say that because the dragon inclusion creates objectives that aren't pure capture the castle. And I think that's going to be problematic. I think that's problematic because there's 8 meaningful themes in Ashes of Creation. There's castle sieges and node sieges. There's guild wars and there's node wars. There's caravans, there's arenas, there's bounty hunting, and there's the enemy of the estate mechanic. So there are these 8 meaningful PvP themes. Remember that the castle siege is the premier guild versus guild content. While there are guild versus guild wars, that's open world, lollygag, ass grabbery combat. And it's going to get a little less that and a little more structured when Steven starts telling us what the victory conditions are. But for right now, you know, every guild versus guild open world war turns into ass grabbery. And the castle sieges dictate the 5 monarchs of the world and who controls 20% of the world. With that said, I am not against the current siege mode being a battleground. I am not against the current siege mode being a battleground, the Ashes of Creation equivalent of Alterac Valley. Alterac Valley. I think I put the vowels in the wrong place. But I think as the deciding factor of who controls the castle and who becomes the monarch, the dragons are a distraction. On paper, and now having played it once, I think the dragons are a distraction, and I think you're going to have a lot of castle sieges that I personally don't believe that the hardcore PvP people that you would want to be engaging in the castle siege content are going to enjoy it. I think they're going to find that it's too... I can already predict they're going to call it too Careberry. They're going to say it's too PvE flavored. And then the problem comes in if ArcAge 2 comes out with an amazing castle siege system, and they already had a pretty damn good castle siege system in ArcAge 1. If ArcAge 2 comes out and has an amazing castle siege system, that will draw the hardcore guilds out of Ashes. And then you've kind of like, if you build it, they will come. But the trick to that is you need them to come. You need them to show up. I must agree, the siege is working well, it seems, and what I hear, but the dragons need to get removed. They could do dragons be a thing in the sieges, but pre-siege only, where attackers could try to kill the dragons to weaken Monarch's dragons, but mid-siege no, and only one dragon. No, I don't think they need to have the dragons at all. Because I think there's enough buildup for those underworms on week A, week B, and week C. So again, I think it's Steven's love of being an MMO or being a mobile player. Steven's trying to model the Castle Siege mode for what his personal preference is. And let me say this right out there. Steven can model the Castle Siege any way he wants because it's his game, he's building it, he's paying for it, right? But the Castle Siege system has to be good enough that you are engaging 2,500 players, right? 5 castles, 250 versus 250, 2,500 players per server. You have to be making a mode that is, 25% of your concurrent population wants to play this mode, and you're talking about the grandest prize, but it's supposed to be the grandest prize of the PvP content. And also, why are there three dragons just sitting around a castle? Why haven't then there has to be the why doesn't this shit make sense? If I was the monarch and there's these 3 dragons right outside my castle, why have I not dealt with them before siege day? Right? Now, of course, I know we've got to remember it's a video game and I wouldn't know when siege day is. I have to be able to be sieged at any time, but that's not fun either. So you're fighting for buffs during the siege and the time leading up to the siege. Yeah, that doesn't work either because that makes the siege too long. You can't say we're gonna have a 2-hour window where you fight over the dragons and then a 2-hour siege, because now you're talking a 4-hour commitment. I mean, I don't have a problem with the 4-hour commitment because I'm an ex-EVE Online player where we would siege for damn near 12, 14 hours sometimes. But the common average player doesn't want to be tied up for 4 consecutive hours. So that's part of the problem. Hi, want to come over? What? I'll pick you up. Oh, you're feeling good. You're feeling healthy. You're feeling chonky. The siege mode is describing the old Altec Valid as a good thing. Is siege testing supposed to be representative of castle sieges? I can't see 3 dragons hanging around each castle. So the siege mode with the 3 dragons would be like Alterac Valley if they did it as a battleground mode, but I don't understand why 3 dragons are hanging around each castle. Z, you're a pervert. I don't understand 3 dragons hanging around each castle on the siege day. You think the dragons would be like, let's fly off. These people are crazy. They're coming to kill me. Are you trying to leave? You don't want to sit up here? Okay, go on. Good boy. So. He's like all mad. He like wants pets, but he won't sit on my lap to get some pets. Hi. So, yeah, I think and we'll continue to test the dragons, and then I'm gonna do my roll up for Steven and be like, hey, I don't think the dragons work. I think, and here's why. And the good thing is Steven is really, really, really receptive to player feedback. So when I give him the why, he'll either be like, yeah, I agree with you, or he'll be like, well, no, I don't agree with you. I would be okay with it if the dragons were summoned by one team to fight for them. Yeah, I could see maybe if that worked that way, but maybe if there was, like, I like the idea of being able to summon a dragon, but there needs to be some more, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I have no problem if you want to have 3 dragon summoning points, and then, and I think that might be an alternative to what they've built, is a taming phase. So for example, you have the 3 spots where the dragons can show up, and make those channeling points that flash a the defenders have begun channeling the earth dragon. And then if you don't get out there as the defenders within 5 minutes and wipe them, now there's this dragon on the board that you have to deal with, because that dragon's coming. The other way around, the attackers channel, the attackers go out of their castle, which now you have a play here. Let's why are you not? Oh, because I'm stupid. Because I am stupid. That is why. Because that is. There we go. Now it works right. Oh, appreciate that. That's 9 months. That's a Twitch baby. So real quick, the way, and this is not gonna be accurate because I am not an artist, but you have a castle that looks something like that, like give or take, it's a castle. And then you've got the ice dragon here. You've got the fire dragon about here. You've got the forest dragon about here. And then you have the attackers spawn camp here. And so the dragons are there and you're running around and you're trying to kill the dragons so you could get the buffs. I think the better way to do that would be there's a channel for each of these points, right? And then if the green team stands here in channels for 5 minutes, then the red dragon, dragon cat, then the red dragon cat goes attacks the castle. But if the attackers come out, or if the defenders come out and channel it, then he comes over to harass them at their respawn at their siege. Like, literally, you can't get out of your siege because there's a dragon standing there camping you. That, I think, would somehow be a better format than this current, yeah, I should make that a non-fungal token, and, you know, I should do my art as NFTs, right? And let you guys own, like, official Jahlon, you know, paint, you know, I so should. But yeah, I don't like the dragons in the current siege content. I'm gonna test it again today. I'm gonna test it again today, see how it works, and you know, get some more feedback. I agree with that, Jade. That's effectively Altaric Valley. Yeah, you see, now we're talking. Now we have dual purpose development. You've already developed this content. Uh-oh. Hold on, 1 second. My daughter's not home. Her cat's out in the hallway, screaming at her door, looking for her mom. But yeah, see, now we have effectively created a battleground. But you haven't lost any development time because all you have to do is take out the dragons. You could put something else there. You could take out the dragons, put a channel spot for buffs there. Now you don't have a dragon to kill, you just have a channel spot. And now, like, instead of putting a dragon in here. Why aren't you going backwards? Oh, because... So instead of putting dragons right here, you could put little towers, right? You could put little outposts right here. You channel for 5 minutes, you control the outpost. The outpost gives you a buff, and it becomes a respawn spot for you, or a teleport to spot. And you could have these give buffs. You could also, these could be little mini fortresses with like 4 ballistas on top that then become, you know what I'm saying? You fight over them. It's like the outer rim of the defenses for the castle, but they don't start with them. And what you can do, right, is you can do a buff and you could do time, right? And what I mean by that is, say this entire clock is supposed to be 2 hours, right? If the offense, if the attackers control all 3, that creates a stop time condition. If we control all 3 spots, the timer no longer runs. So it took us 30 minutes to capture all 3. Remember I said the benefit of the castle is you have the clock. You only have to run out the clock. Well, you have these 3, you control all 3 of these outposts. The clock now doesn't run. You're not on the clock anymore. You have all the time in the world to siege the castle because you control the 3 outer things. This now creates a stressor for the defenders. They have to come out and they have to get one of these flipped back to start the clock again. The other thing is that if the defenders take all 3 of these, the clock is sped up. Varsity Blues, the clock's still running, but now the clock is running at ×2 speed. If the attackers don't get out here and take one back, they're losing half their time. So now you become, I don't think stopping the clock is great. People still have real lives, and elongating the siege too much might cause problems. It could, but you got to remember, who's the target audience for the castle? That hurt. Who's the target audience for the castle sieges? The hardcore people. I don't think people are gonna be upset if the clock gets stopped periodically and you turn a 2-hour event into a 2 hour and 30 event. I also, at the same time, you have the ability to take this 1 hour event and turn it, or this 2 hour event and turn it into a 1 hour event. This makes the damn, this makes the damn 3 objectives you want people to fight over more meaningful, more flavored to MMORPG players instead of mobile players. Now, I think this model is more appealing to MMORPG players than it is to, you know, you're this we're trying to do this MOBA-esque thing. So won't this make the stall at the castle gate even longer? Yeah, it would. But remember, this is just one part of it. Remember, I've also said once the channel starts, the respawn should be flipped. And then if I get the channel started at all, now my attackers are respawning in the basement and the defenders are respawning out at the wild. Once we flip that control room, now it's in our favor. The clock stopping though makes the attacker side basically a defender side by getting all 3 and stopping the clock. They only have to hold those 3 until the castle peeps go to sleep. You're right. However, the defenders then are motivated, because remember, you only have 250 people. The defenders can hold the castle and take all 3 of those points. And remember, they only ever have to hold one of them to keep the time running. Or maybe we don't do, and you're right, maybe we don't do stop time. Maybe we do half time. So maybe, you know, you've got your 2 hour clock, right? If the defenders hold all 3, this becomes a 1 hour and 30 clock. If the attackers hold all 3, it becomes a 2 hour and 30 clock. So you're right. Maybe we don't do a total stop time. Maybe we do a slow time. I think that makes those points way more valuable than a dragon buff. And it also is going to make it so I've dedicated 25 of my best PvPers to holding that point. I've dedicated, like, I can't think of her name. Can't think of Yara. I'm Yara with the 50 best killers on the island, and we're holding one of those points. And now you start getting the people who are like roving patrols between the two, trying to kill the other team. I think this creates a much better environment than we have these random dragons here in a good pop. And I'm not saying nobody likes the dragons. I've never said nobody likes the dragons. There's people who like the dragons. There's people who like exactly what Steven designed. Some of those people, I discount their opinion entirely. No offense. There are some people who are going to like whatever Steven designs, no matter what Steven designs, because they're fanboy loyalists. No offense, I don't count your opinion. If you never say a critical word about a developer, I just can't take your opinion seriously. The people who like it and can put up an articulate argument for why they like it, those are the people I want to hear from. I also want to let you guys know that I do discount people on the other end of the spectrum as well. People who hate on Intrepid for no good articulate reason, I discount their opinion as well. Like the guy yesterday, who said in Ashes of Creation looks like shit. Tell me why. He won't tell me why. He just wants to rag on the game. I think you have great ideas. Please tell Steven. Unfortunately, somebody else has to tell Steven. But they do tend to take a look at everything in my show. I'll probably clip this out and I'll probably put this particular section on YouTube. Just so that it's there. Because, unfortunately, it's going to become a matter of getting Steven to understand that I appreciate the dragons in a battleground mode. And I'm not saying the dragons are bad for a battleground mode, guys. I think making a battleground mode with that people can queue into, I want to see it in a more complete state before I judge too harshly. For now, I'll trust in their vision. There's nothing wrong with trusting in someone's vision, but I think you can always judge. I think you can always judge based on the paper state.
I say, Sprocket, we've reached the end of another video. Time to thank the sponsors. Yes, that will do. Shall we pop off for a spot of tea?